This episode is sponsored by Artifacts. Artifacts is based out of Front Royal, Virginia, and is a fellowship opportunity for Catholic men. Each month, they gather to network, socialize, and hear from inspiring speakers, building brotherhood, strengthening faith, and creating opportunities to grow together. For more information, go to www.artifacts.life or follow on Instagram at artifactsgroupva. And today's guest is Greg Polley. Greg spent the first 10 years of his career working as a federal lobbyist and an aide to a U.S. senator. He worked on many business policy issues, but ultimately decided he wanted to work in an actual business. He first led and turned around a small family business where he doubled the size of the company and achieved business health. He then worked in a private equity portfolio company that went public and finally became the co-founder of a nationwide managed services startup. Greg is now a full-time implementer for EOS Worldwide. He works with companies and organizations to clarify their vision, increase accountability, and build team health. He is a husband and a father of 4 children. How was that? Pretty accurate?
That's great. Yeah, it sounds official. Yeah. I like it.
It sounds like you're really successful.
Sounds like I did something.
Yeah, right. I love how bios, it's like all of the highlights. Like,
right, yeah.
Achieved a multi-million dollar,
Right, yeah. We're not going to go into the lowlights today.
Yeah, no.
Right. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So you are, I guess for people listening, typically, we'll record these right before Artifacts.
Sure, yeah.
And then we post the next day. Artifacts happened a few weeks ago. Scheduling didn't work out. Then I accidentally scheduled you for Ash Wednesday, so we had to change that.
Cool. No,
anyway,
I think I scheduled us for Ash Wednesday, right?
I think you gave me 2 options, and I was like, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And
right.
I was,
I'm like,
as soon as you emailed me, I was
I'll
like,
be in a really bad mood if
terrible
it's on Ash
Catholic.
Wednesday.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Just fasting the whole day. Would you have some?
Sure.
Or, no. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight, something we're going to start doing actually.
Okay.
For those listening, if anyone wants to contribute, we are going to start. We do have sponsors of the show, but we're going to start a one-time sponsorship in which you can send us a bottle of bourbon or send us money for a bottle of bourbon and get your name read off and maybe a question if it's a really good bottle.
Sweet.
So keep that in mind. That'll be coming soon. But tonight we are drinking Smoke Wagon, which is an uncut, unfiltered straight bourbon whiskey from Nevada. Hard to read. Nevada H&C Distilling Company in Las Vegas. It's barrel strength. 54% ABV, and it was bottled last year in June 7th. So have you ever had any of these?
No.
So there's a couple of good ones. I think my favorite's the rye.
Okay.
All of the bottles are very similar, but the rye I think has a golden little wax stamp here.
And can you get these at the local ABC store?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, good.
This one I think this is like a $38 bottle, maybe 40.
Okay.
But I think I initially bought it just because of the bottle. Like if you're looking for something, you're trying something new, there's a few options and the bottle looks cool. You go for the bottle. So this is like kind of reminds me of a wine bottle, or maybe a tequila bottle. But it's got some designs. It's got a little gold plating on it. So it's kind of a cool little bottle.
It looks real homespun. Kind of thing,
yeah. Definitely.
Like your grandfather would have had it.
Yeah, definitely like a cowboy looking bottle. So anyway, cheers. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Excited to talk to you for a little bit.
Yeah. Sure.
So for those listening, I think the Artifacts lecture was recorded.
Oh,
so
it was.
kind of the shorter. I know you just talked about not wanting to record lectures. You can talk to Ben about that. That's not my my area of expertise. But yeah. So if anyone wants to listen to that, that should be on their YouTube channel.
Okay. Cool.
Today, what I thought we'd do in whatever time we have, just let me know when you need to roll. I figured we do a little bit of a backstory.
Sure.
So where you're from, where your family's from.
Yep.
Maybe go through some of your career, and then we can talk about EOS, and then if anyone wants to implement their business, how to reach out to you, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
okay, cool.
Are you originally from Colorado?
No, I'm originally from California.
California,
so,
okay.
Yeah. Grew up in Southern California, Ventura County area.
Nice.
It's like hour north of LA. My father's jokes I used to describe as like an hour between LA and Santa Barbara, right?
Okay.
And she's like, oh, LA and Santa Barbara, whatever. It's not that fancy. It was a cool, great place to live. Just kind of a normal place when I was growing up in the 80s.
I hear that was a good time to be in California. It was in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Things were changing, obviously. But, I mean, my old boss, Senator Shelby, used to say, he's like, I wish I bought land, in California in the 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think, real, golden era where you could go and just, it was still cheap. And,
totally.
My grandfather...
Especially Orange County. Before
totally.
Became a multi-million
before
dollar...
it was a big deal, right? Kind of just surfing enclaves and, taco shops on the beach and stuff.
Yeah.
My grandfather, he was born in 1899 in California. And on his side, we're, ninth generation Californian from Central Valley area, Salinas, and kind of where near the tech hub area now, right? Used to all be, farming, little cities and towns and whatever. But he moved down to Southern California, to that area, to Oxnard, in like probably like 20s or 30s. He was working for Southern California Edison, like he was one of the first guys to sell people electric appliances, like try and get people to start using electricity.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
So it was really strange. But so he moved to Oxnard, which is right on the beach. And he's like, oh, we lived at the beach because it was the cheapest place. Nobody wanted to be there. You couldn't grow anything. It was dirty. It was messy. And I was like, Grandpa, like, why didn't you buy, beachfront property? He's like, I don't know. One thought about it. Like, we just didn't care, you know? So it was just really funny to hear him. Now it's like obviously reversed, right? Everybody wants to be on the beach and be on the water and everything else. So, but grew up in that area, youngest of 7 kids, Catholic family. I was sometimes with clients I do these like backstory things, kind of just to get to know each other, kind of like, how many siblings, where'd you grow up, biggest challenge. And I was like, one of my biggest challenges growing up was being, weird from like this big Catholic family in Southern California. Right. And then also being like health nuts. Right. So we were like buy raw milk from the store and like I'd have almonds for snack at school and I'd be like trying to trade them for like ding dongs and stuff. Which I'm sure my mom didn't appreciate, but that was like a total like street trade. Right. Like some kids were like, almonds, I've never had those before. Like, what are they?
Sucker.
Yeah. And I'm like, here, give me your I'll take your Twinkie for the trade. Right. So, but so grew up there. I don't know. I mean, just normal kind of life there.
High school, public
high school. Well, I was kind of the experimental child at the end. My parents were like, I think I went to like 9 different schools growing up. It was like startup school, parish school, public school, little Christian school in the corner, whatever it was. And did homeschool sometimes in between that. So it was just kind of a different upbringing, but I think that's kind of what's made me like so adaptable and just like ready for different challenges, right? You kind of just get used to it. But like good friends, like had, good friends in the area and, were part of our local parish and our local church and some, community groups down there. So played soccer all growing up. I told another funny story. Like I'm the young of my 7, so like all of us, I'm the only one that didn't do Irish dancing. Because by the time it got to me, all my brothers Irish dance. I have 4 older brothers. My 2 sisters were really good. Like went to Ireland, the whole thing. And when it got to me, I was probably like 6 or 7, and my mom's like, "Oh, you want to start Irish dancing?" I was like, "No, like this is the worst thing ever." Like all my brothers made fun of it at that point. And my oldest brother Chris, he told me, he's like, the only way you should do it is if you tell mom if she buys you a shotgun that you'll do Irish dancing. And I was like, okay. So I told her, and of course she wouldn't buy me a shotgun. I was, too young. But, so I was always jealous because they were better soccer players. They had better like footwork and whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
But all this reminds me, like growing up, like from age 14 to 18, this will like go back way before your time, but there used to be something called public access television, right? So like the broadcasters had to provide like public access. So they would have like studios set up, they would have video cameras, they had radio studios that you could use and things like that.
Just for free? Or...
Yeah, like it was part of like the community, like since they had access to the broadcast rights and,
right.
cable lines and whatever. So there was a public access Christian station in like a garage apartment of somebody in my hometown. And we went there to help. My buddy's dad was starting this like political talk show or whatever, kind of like this Rush Limbaugh, like on TV thing. And it was like, okay, like, so he's like, do you want to run the cameras for us? So I was like, sure. So I learned how to run cameras, learned how to like use all the Betamax, the old school, like not, VHS tapes, but like the old school, like big tapes this. Is all, you had a huge board in front of you and it was That's fun,
cool.
Right? You're 14, you're like, learn how to do all this stuff and like do cameras, zoom in and out and all this stuff. But at one point the guy who ran it was like, hey, we've got all these, like we get like Christian music videos in here like every month and we have this whole, library. My son used to do this show. Do you guys want to do it? So like the 4 of us did a live like Christian music video show, like Christian DJ,
kidding.
Whatever. For 4 years. And we used to do, I mean, it was, we were like a little.
Are there recordings that we can pull of that?
Yeah, there's, okay. I mean, there are recordings. Yeah. One of my buddies tried to put it on YouTube, but they did like a content warning because it had like copyrighted material in it or whatever. But I'm like, copyright from the 90s.
Amazing Grace is copyright.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it was hilarious. But it was also just great. Like you kind of learned how to think on your feet. You did goofy stuff. We did skits. Like if we had access to this stuff now, where it's like all the editing material. I mean, we used to like have to like edit between tapes, right? Like my buddy would be cutting stuff, and we'd be doing like weird Rocky videos and stuff. So that was a lot of fun and a good like experience for me growing up, and actually got to learn how to interview people and talk to people, and different groups from the area and that kind of thing. So I thought like I was like going to go into TV. Like this is cool.
Clearly,
right?
people are watching.
Yeah, there were like 4 people, watching this.
Was there any way to track viewership?
No way to track. The only thing we did was we had a call-in line for requests, and like every once in a while you get a call in, and usually it'd be like one
Hi,
of my
Mom.
Yeah, exactly, like one of my relatives or whatever would call and be like, Greg, I want to blah blah blah.
That's funny.
But
we just won a free trip.
Totally. Yeah, we just all kinds of goofy stuff like that. But it was like old school public access. You had to go. I mean, and I started to do different things. I started to get involved with other groups that were trying to film things, and so I do like cameraman work, and it was just fun. Like
and you're in California, so
California, you just thought like, oh, well, this is but ended up going to school out here in Virginia, right at Criste College. My parents at the time were like, okay, there's 3 schools you can go to. One was 20 minutes from my house in California. I was like, I'm not going there, right? Like it's too close. My mom was like, oh, you can live at home, and you can like, I'm not living at home. So came out here, ended up falling in love with Virginia, as a state, not a person. That sounds weird. But met my wife out here, and ended up getting married. And then I got the job in DC. I was like valet parking one day. I was a student valet parking in Great Falls for St. Patrick's Day party for this guy. I'd done it. This is the second year, and he's still a friend. Like we still stay in touch. He's a great guy, and he was like, came out. He's like, hey, do you guys need jobs? Like, and I was like, yes. So like,
what are we doing?
Yeah. So exactly. Right. And so I found out later on, like as I was applying for this thing, that he was the head lobbyist for Charles Schwab in DC, the financial services company.
Sure.
And I knew what Charles Schwab was, being from California, because it's a California company. And like, you just, saw his commercials on TV, and it's kind of
Billboard,
a little bit of a legend, but I didn't really know what a lobbyist was or did. I was like, well, okay, sounds good. Like, so I ended up working there for 5 years and got to meet Charles Schwab, and they, the executive team come to the office. Kind of a really cool thing for a young guy right out of college. Like, you just didn't realize what was happening, right?
Yeah.
You'd meet the CEO and get lunch for, the CFO, and, just...
So you were, that's what you did? Was just like coffee runs?
Yeah, I mean, I was
food.
an intern. I mean, eventually worked my way. I ended up becoming a registered lobbyist, go meet with folks on Capitol Hill, and, kind of that kind of stuff. But kind of like the things that other people didn't want to do. Like the other meeting. Oh, hey, there's this other meeting at Treasury Department. Can you go there and take notes and what, so that kind of thing. At one point I got to Bush did this whole thing of like, it was like a President's Council on Tax Reform. So I followed our Charles Schwab person to each, like New Orleans and San Francisco and Chicago, and like took notes, and was kind of her aide. Like she didn't really need me, and she didn't want me, but they kind of forced her to like have me there. Or
train him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, and she was super nice. I mean, she's still there and does all the TV stuff for them or whatever. But she was great to me and like super super kind. And
did you enjoy the lobbying part was second? Did you enjoy what you were doing then, or was this like, this is fine, but I know that this can lead to a political career or to something bigger, and so it's fine for now? Or were you like, yeah, this is great? Like,
no, it made I at the beginning I kind of didn't know what it was, right? And so I just, once I got into it, I was like, oh, this can be kind of fun. Like you get to meet with people, take people out to lunch. You're like, and you're doing real things. I mean, it was kind of neat to see the inner workings of like how governments and corporations kind of interact with each other, right? Because you have like congressmen where you have a big presence in, say, Arizona or something. Schwab has a huge headquarters there, and that guy wants you to do well, obviously, because you're employing thousands of his people in his district. So you got to know those folks well, and just like, hey, this is a big deal, or this is going to impact the company, or this is so you kind of would start explaining things. And Schwab was good because they were very California, like, well, why do we need to be in DC? Like, we're not doing this lobbying thing and spending money, and basically, so they tried to be a little more hands off than like say like a New York firm or something that's been doing it for years and like knows how the system works. Like it was more they wanted to stay kind of pure or something.
Okay.
So it was good, and easy to work for them, and easy to do the work that I did. I don't know, like career wise, I mean, I liked it. I liked being in DC. I liked meeting people, and building those networks out. But I don't know. I mean,
it wasn't like there wasn't a political pull for you.
No, I mean, I always liked politics. Like growing up, like I grew up when Reagan was kind of president, and California, my area, California, is still very red and kind of Republican. Like we had a Republican governor, Republican senators at that time. So I always liked following it and kind of was more interested. So it's very interesting to see, like, you go to the House, Senate, you're in the Capitol at hearings and stuff. Like the things that you see on TV, you're there, kind of watching them and interacting with them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, like long term, I probably thought I was going to be there at the time. Like, yeah, I'll just do this forever. Like, this is great. You know, I love DC because it's like kind of unlimited opportunity in the sense of like people very much get to know you rather than it's like, oh, well, you have the specific skill set and you're an engineer and you can do this one thing. Right. And when you're in DC, it's like, hey, Greg, I know you. I like you. I know you'll do well over here. Come help me.
That's so interesting because I feel like most places it's normal, or it's, I guess with technology even more so, it's become normal that it doesn't, like, I don't even care if I know your name. You check this box. We need this box checked.
Totally.
Plug in.
Yeah.
So, but that's not how like small towns work. It's like, I know my one mechanic guy. I know that I have my contacts. And the interesting thing about DC is it seems, and based on what you're saying, this is true, that everyone knows everyone to some degree, and you have to know the right players to succeed and to win and to get this bill passed and to get this story written and all this. But no one actually is from there. So it's kind of like a small town in that sense, but everyone, I forget who I was just listening to. Maybe it was Rogan, but someone was like, the weird thing about DC is that every senator that's there wakes up every day and says, I could be president. Like, that's the mentality, is I'm here for power to be president, but you still need to know all these people, and no one's actually from there. Like, very few people actually grow up in DC because they're from Nevada and they're coming out and they're the senator, or they're the, you know, maybe there's the occasional people like you that grew up nearby or was a high schooler nearby and then, you know, started working on Capitol Hill, but very few people are like born in DC, grow up, live there. Most of those people move out. They don't want to be there. So it's this kind of odd like ghost town where it's the center of political power, yet no one's from there, but you also have to know everyone because it is business. A lot of this stuff comes down to, I know this guy who can get this thing done. Or this reporter who can write this story. Right? Because that's the only way things work. It's not really a plug this in and it works. You actually have to know them, take them out for drinks, cultivate these relationships to actually kind of get your way.
Absolutely.
Which sounds like fun, but and backstabby.
It can be, right? No, but that is true. Like it's, and the other thing is very cyclical too, right? Like you have a new administration come in, like new group of guys come in, right? House member, Senate. I mean, depending on who you work for, like, you know, those flip over and turn over, and so it can change pretty rapidly depending on what's happening. Right? So that's the other piece of it too. But anyway, so I worked there at Schwab, great experience there for 5 years. And then one day my boss came in, he's like, listen, my old job's open with Senator Shelby from Alabama. You should go work for him. You know, banking committee chairman, it's a great position, blah, blah, blah. And there was like always the like mystique. I kind of did I went the wrong way, right? Typically you go work on the Hill and then you go work for a private company, right? And so this was like leaving kind of the, not golden handcuffs, but I mean, you're in like a nice, you know, big company with stock options and all these things, go to the Hill, right? And so I just felt like it was the right time and the right opportunity. And so went up there, ended up working for Senator Shelby for 4 years. Right after I got there, you know, it was 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit, Republicans lost the majority shortly after that, the next midterms. And so, you know, he was not chairman for 10 years, right? After that, right? So I ended up, you know, doing a lot of like appropriations for him, like the you know, the directed funding, you know, people call it like pork barrel spending or whatever, you know, the things where like senators like, hey, this town needs a new water system. Like, I'm going to, you know, direct funds toward that, right? Through whatever agency that is, right? So did a lot of that, did like Coast Guard funding, did DHS, did, you know, healthcare and tax policy, you know, a lot of different things for him, which was really interesting. You got to meet a ton of people.
And what was your role in that? Is this lobbying or is this advocating for him?
No, I'm like an aide to him. I'm a legislative assistant for him, right? So I'm working in his office, work directly for him, for the constituents of, you know, the state, right? A lot of constituents didn't like that I was from California. You know, I'm like,
don't bring your California to my...
Right. And I'm like, no, I'm not, you know, I'm one of those Californians.
I do eat almonds, but I promise that's it.
Yeah, it's health food. But I was like totally ignorant of SEC football, right? Like, I mean, they were like, I walk in and they're like, are you Auburn or Alabama? And I'm like, you know, no idea. Like, we just growing up, we did like pro football, right? We weren't big college football people. So I learned about that. One time I didn't recognize one of the like famous Alabama football players that came in, and, you know, somebody, my friend introduced, she's now married to him, but she introduced him to me, and he's like 6'8", 300 pounds. I was like, hey, you know, great to meet you, you know, whatever. And I was like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I work up in Massachusetts. And I'm like, oh, cool, great. And like, come to find out later, he's an offensive lineman for the Patriots, right? He had been like this famous player at Alabama, plays for Tom Brady, played in the Super Bowl and all this stuff.
Very
and
cool.
I had no idea who he was.
Get him out to Front Royal. No,
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, there's a lot of Patriots fans here, which is funny.
Are there really? Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of, I mean, Virginia, especially Front Royal, is kind of a melting pot.
Sure. Yeah.
But like a lot of people from
Yeah.
New England area are here. Like most of my buddies growing up are all Patriots fans.
Yeah.
Which is a good time to be a Patriots
No,
fan.
I was. I'm totally like I was a Patriot fan after that because I was Tom Brady won all the time, and so that was cool.
Yeah.
And then after I met Wesley,
He's fun
I was
to
like,
watch play.
and then I watched him play, and then there was one story that like tangentially connected me to Tom Brady. But so
Sweet.
Wesley, he came in, so he started dating this girl who's now actually the senator from Alabama. She's married to this guy, but.
Okay.
He came in one time. He's like, oh, I hurt my ankle on, running on my, uncle's property. And Katie was like, well, Greg, I know you're into like natural stuff. Like, do you have anything for him? So I like gave him like, I was like, go to Whole Foods, buy arnica, get the topical stuff.
The gel, yeah.
So Katie told me later that he went up to so they have to disclose anything they take to the trainer up at, when they go back to the locker room or whatever, training facility. And he's in there and Tom Brady's in there too. And he's like explaining to the trainer, like what he's like, oh, I took arnica. My buddy told me about it. And Tom Brady's like, oh, no, I take arnica all the time. Like that stuff saves me. So I was like, oh, dude, this is awesome. It's like all my
Because of me?
Yeah,
Hold on.
no,
Did I just win a Super Bowl? Yeah.
Seriously. I'm like all my health training, all my background, like crunchy granola stuff. Like
That's
it
awesome.
worked out, So
Which player is this?
his name is Wesley Britt. He's
Wesley Britt, okay.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
I don't know who that is, but I bet all of
yeah.
my buddies do.
Yeah, they
and
might.
I can look
don't
him
know.
up. Yeah.
He played for the Patriots. He's good. He played offensive lineman, played for them, started, I think, for them for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So,
Well.
Anyway.
Just working in Massachusetts,
Yeah, just working in Massachusetts. Like that, I mean, it's just, again, like I'm so
That's humble
clueless.
of him, though.
Yeah, he totally was.
Did he know that you didn't know who he was? And he was
I'm sure.
Or
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he had no
so
idea.
funny.
Like he was just like whatever. Like doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He wasn't he wasn't walking around with his like.
I think that's a
jersey
credit
on
to you though, like because I think you can be. If you knew he was a football player, maybe you would have acted different. Maybe you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But like whether he was really famous or a nobody, if you're just like, yeah, where are you from? Like you're a normal person, and then you find out later, maybe you're mad that you didn't like get a selfie with him.
Right.
But,
Yeah, it was. I think it was before selfies. It was
Okay.
still when I had like my flip phone or whatever.
You had to turn it around.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, okay, great, like awesome, good to
Whatever.
And I was probably busy or something too. I was probably in the middle of
Yeah.
something. I was like, okay, I got to like get this guy out of here.
Yeah,
So,
Get
anyway.
out of here. You're huge.
Yeah,
Taking up 3 chairs. Yeah. So you were at that position for 2 years?
4 years. I worked for Senator Shelby for 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
And it was, it was great experience. Got to fly on planes out of like Andrews Air Force Base. I mean, just cool,
Sure.
like meet people that you would never, I mean,
what were some of the best memories from that? Was it just like going to all these cool events and meeting people you knew, like political, like big political figures, or
yeah, there was some of that. Like you met, definitely. I mean, it's like you meet a lot of, Paul Ryan and Obama's walking through the hallway and just John McCain at the Senate barbershop and I mean just you kind of just run into these folks and you kind of have to like okay I'm here it's like it's just part of the deal, right? You did kind of have to remind yourself, like I'd be walking through the Capitol and you're like, hey, this is like a historic place, like there were people in here that built our country and you have to like, so there was some of that. There was some really cool experience, just being on the Senate floor, when the senator's out there voting and helping him, process what he's going through and what he's working on. They're voting on real things and legislation. So that's super cool, like just kind of, exciting spaces to be. Yeah, and there's some places in the Capitol where you're in committee rooms, right? It's like on TV when you see
the smoke-filled rooms.
And you see like the staff sitting behind, like you're one of those guys sitting behind the senator, waiting for him to like lean back and ask you a question, which Senator Shelby was like always way informed and like never needed me. I was just kind of like, what am I doing
I have the
here?
answers if you need it.
I have them right here. Like, let me know.
That's fun.
So
yeah, I've always thought it'd be fun as much as I like hate the State of the Union as a public
it's cool
display. It would be so fun to get dressed up and go to the State of the Union, even if it wasn't the president I voted for, even if it was the opposing party, just to be in this room with all of these really like crazy like successful politicians, them or hate them, and all the good and bad and the pomp and circumstance, just to be here like this is kind of cool. Like I would totally go.
It is.
That's
I mean,
fun.
it's your country, it's your government.
I wouldn't
right?
probably go multiple times, but just to go once would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just would run into different people all the time and
Okay.
see, like at one point, I mean, it's hilarious. Like you would see actors, and like I met Chuck Norris once. I like
Nice.
had a meeting with him, and I like kind
Okay.
of forced my way. I wasn't like I was sort of connected to
You
him. I'm
didn't
like
need to meet him.
I'm
Yeah.
coming in. Like this is Chuck Norris, so I met Chuck Norris. So that was fun. There's just stuff like that where
Did you travel overseas at all, or was it all?
I did
US?
one. It was mostly just back to the state, right? Like you
Okay.
mostly just serve.
Yep.
There were a couple. What I mean, I think I went to Brussels to like see the European Union and
Okay.
that kind of thing. I think that was the only overseas trip that I did while I was there. There were a couple opportunities to like, go to China or whatever, but it just wasn't. It was always like over like Easter week, and I'm like, I'm not spending Easter in China.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of all places.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so there, it was interesting. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, good experience.
Overall good experience.
Yeah.
There were times where my wife, the metro's not running anymore, and she's picking me up at 2 a.m. And that was part of the reason we left. We just had 2 little kids, and it was like,
Yeah,
hey, it's
yeah.
time to go.
Brutal.
And I wanted to kind of experience something else. Just kind of just like really wanted. Like I did so many business policy issues and whatever. I was like, I just want to like be in a business. Like
Right.
I want to see how this works, like the real world.
Okay. And did you have your MBA at that point?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there was really, I mean, I wanted to, but there's really no time.
Yeah.
I was working out, I was taking some master's courses at George Mason, like international commerce or something. But once I worked on the Hill, like you just don't have control of your schedule anymore. It's not
Right.
like you can try, I tried to make as much 9 to 5, to get home. Right.
Yeah.
Or 9, it was really 9 to 6 or, 7 to 6 or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it was. But you like there are times when you're like, hey, there's votes, and you got to stick
Right.
around until they're done.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned that at the Artifacts talk in
Yeah.
your kind of bio intro.
Sure.
Is that you were like, yeah, the 9 to 5 thing, you can try to make that work.
Yeah.
But like the staffers show up at 10 o'clock and
Yeah.
they work, and then they go start drinking
Yeah.
at 9 p.m.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then they
yeah.
go back home
Yeah.
at 3. And it's
Right.
like,
Yes.
and they still get stuff done.
Yeah.
They still have the 8-hour workday,
Right.
but it's just skewed by
It's
5
not like
hours.
real
right?
family friendly,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like
not
I kind
really.
of wanted to see my kids at night
Sure.
and stuff. So
Yeah. And how old were they at the time?
So it was Evelyn and Genevieve, and they were, I don't know, 1 and 3 or something
Okay.
like that, right? So,
Yeah, pretty small.
yeah, and we did everything we could. I mean, on a typical night, I got home at like 7:30, right? And that was like when I left on time and got on the train, and it was like a 3-hour round trip commute, right,
Yeah.
on the train into DC. So it was rough, and I think we were just like, we just want a simpler way of life. We want to go to like a normal city and like live in a neighborhood and have a garage and a driveway and
Yeah.
all these things. So that's when I ended up getting a job down in Memphis, where my wife's from. So we moved to Memphis, Tennessee, which was great. I mean,
Nice.
I still love Memphis. Memphis has its issues.
And they've got some barbecue.
Amazing barbecue.
I've driven through there once.
Yeah.
The place I stopped by was
you
recommended by a
go?
friend. I can't remember. It's funny you mentioned that because I've talked to a few
This
other
is a big
people.
deal. We
No,
didn't know.
It definitely
Yeah.
is. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
But they were like, you have to go to this place, and I was like, okay, but a friend of
Rendezvous.
mine told me it was this place,
Was
and they
it
were like, no, he's
downtown?
totally right.
Do you remember where it was? Was it Midtown, downtown, East Memphis?
I feel like it was near the Pro Bass or
Bass Pro
Bass
shop?
Pro.
Okay.
They have the pyramid there, right?
Yeah.
I think it was pretty close to that because we passed that on the way, but that could be 10 places. So I'll have to.
Well, the famous place in Memphis is the Rendezvous. It's like
Okay,
in
I
downtown
don't think it was there.
Memphis. It's kind of down in a basement. It's
Okay.
been there forever. They do like coal fire.
Would that be your recommended place, or
Well, I mean, I think
I guess that might be more like good, but more
it's-
historic.
Well, it's good. I mean, if you like there are people that are like religious about it. Like they do the dry rub.
Yeah.
Ribs, right? Which I'll mess this up. Nobody from Memphis listens.
You're not from Memphis,
yeah,
so it's
right.
fine.
Yeah. Just my wife.
You're a Californian.
Yeah, I'm in California. I don't know anything about ribs. But there are several good places. But Rendezvous was like that's
Okay.
like the place you'd like if someone comes to town. It's like
Yeah.
you want the Memphis experience. You
Sure.
go down there and then you go see the Peabody Hotel and you know
Okay.
hopefully you don't get shot. In a
Yeah,
drive-by.
I think we were just there for like 4 hours.
Okay.
We were actually driving to Napa. Buddy
Sure.
of mine
Okay.
used to live in Napa. They live here now.
Okay.
And so we were like, you know what? It's a long road trip. Let's not do the boring route. Let's
Yeah.
go south. And so we
Sure.
went through like Nashville and Memphis and
Yeah.
a bunch of other places in Las Vegas and
Yeah.
just kind of did the long trip. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It seemed a little bit, I guess where we were staying was kind of sketchy.
Sure.
That part of town, but we
Yeah.
also paid like $80 for an Airbnb
Yeah, that's
somewhere.
not
so,
that's not a great idea.
It was 3 guys
Yeah.
and we were like, it's fine.
Next
We'll-
time you go, call me. Even if it's 3 guys, like it just doesn't matter. You can stay with my
Yeah.
in-laws. It's
I think
better.
at the time
Yeah.
we were like, yeah, it'll be fine. And then I remember
Yeah.
leaving the next day and I was like, oh, it looks just as bad during the day as it does at night.
Yeah.
Maybe we really shouldn't have stayed here.
No, a buddy of mine told me, he's like, oh yeah, we were on a road trip. We stopped. I found this great Airbnb. I was like, where was it? I was like, no, like just call me next time. Like just, you got to know where.
Yeah.
The
and
right
I think crime has gotten worse there, right? Like I think Trump has talked about sending the National Guard.
Well,
there
I think
recently.
he already has, right? He's already sent them.
Okay.
I mean, it got worse, and it's really unfortunate because it's really cool place, so many good people. Like, just I really miss it.
It's like it'd be Nashville, right?
Yeah,
it's like an iconic American
and they
city.
used to be more like Nashville, right? They had like the music scene before Nashville. Now Nashville's kind of like the country music, you know, twangy bluegrass stuff. Like Memphis had the real like soul and like rock and roll and Elvis and the whole thing. So it's really sad because I mean it's right on the water, beautiful like bluffs, beautiful homes on the river, and that Bass Pro Shop and all kind of these iconic...
Have you been in there?
Oh yeah, we go there all the time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
Where else can you go and get like beef jerky and like, guns and fudge and like, go up at the top,
try
and
out a crossbow?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's a great time.
So it's pretty cool. So,
So you were in Memphis for how long?
We were in Memphis for 8 years.
Okay. And this is when you're running the small business?
Yeah. So I joined the small business, and
what was the small business?
It was a security company. Okay. So think like, like an ADT or whatever, but we did like commercial security, residential security, camera, the whole, like kind of bricks and, but like good stuff, like stuff that you needed. And it was a good business to be in Memphis. And that's when I got my MBA at the local university, Christian Brothers University down there. So
and were you in sales or were you?
I ran the company. I was the president of the company for the last 4 years. Before that, I was doing different, operations, sales, all hands on deck type stuff. And that's where I discovered like, in the EOS world, we have this whole idea called like rocket fuel, where you have like visionary and integrator. Like visionary is the kind of the big ideas guy and doing all the stuff, and then the integrator is kind of the day-to-day accountability. And that's kind of what I had with the owner. I was the integrator, I was the day-to-day guy. I took care of all the problems, people issues, whatever. And we were working together just to improve the business, right? Sure. And so we kind of just did it kind of blindly, finding our way, reading different stuff, and but when I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, we were like doing EOS without even realizing what we were doing.
That's funny.
Right. So it was super cool in that sense of like looking back and saying, oh, this is...
We did some things right.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
It just took us a lot longer. It took us like 4 or 5 years to get everything organized versus like if you're running on EOS, it's, 6 months to a year kind of thing. So anyway, so that was cool. Did that. And then at some point, I got a call to come out to Denver, Colorado for the Augustine Institute from one of my old professors, raise money for them, right? They had at the time they had kind of this ed tech, kind of software platform that they were building, and then also the graduate school and all these other things that they're kind of content creation stuff, and they had studios and TV and all. And I was like, oh, this is cool, like kind of this multimedia deal. So went out there for a couple of years, raised money for them, was their chief development officer. And that was a neat, like you just met a ton of people, right? So you met people kind of on a national level, but also Denver. Like Denver has a lot of amazing folks, out there. They're doing a lot of really good things. So that was really cool. And then left there and went to a software company that was like a private equity startup. They basically, I think when I got there, they had like 52 different software companies that they had purchased and kind of brought together. I was in their security vertical. On the executive team there, and that's where they ran on EOS, and I was like, what is this? Like, this is super cool. And like, so I ended up facilitating those meetings for the executive team there and worked through that, and worked there for a couple of years. And then my buddy approached me with this startup idea, and so it was kind of a managed video security startup, and started to try and implement EOS there. And like, it just wasn't quite what we thought it was going to be. It didn't work out. And so had a little runway after that. And that's when I was like kind of on the next search. I was like, okay, what am I doing now? Like talk to some private equity folks, operating partner positions, some other internal things. And then discovered like you can do EOS full time. Like this is like people do this as business coaches and help other businesses. So I just felt like it was like the culmination of like all my experiences kind of coming together.
Sure.
From the business development side to the operations to all this stuff. And so that was kind of the discovery and, the path. And then like, once that happened, like all these doors just started opening, and it brought us back out here because we're like, well, we can go anywhere now. And there's, probably 30 or 40 EOS implementers in the Denver area. So, fairly saturated. I think there's still, business out there, but it was just a lot of, and when I talk to guys out in this area in Virginia, like there's nobody out here. You should come, like we need help. Right. So it's been a great move, and we
And
love
was
it.
that something you said, hey, I want to work for you, but I want to be in Virginia? Or did they send you to Virginia?
No, you
and it just
can
worked out,
operate
or-
from anywhere you want, right?
Okay.
Like
You
so
just
there-
kind of have to build your own clientele.
Yeah, you build your own
Okay.
practice and your own clientele.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, how do you make? Is it a commission, or are you salaried with commission? Like,
No, so they basically they call it a franchise, but it's really like
Okay.
a certification. Like you pay, this franchise fee, but most of the fee is training, right? So
Okay.
they bring you through. So you're technically like you own this piece of the business or whatever.
Okay.
You pay them fees and kind of monthly stuff, but like you can get what you can get out of it, right? Like so
Okay.
you build your practice and build your business and you charge your clients, and
And
that's
you
your relationship.
and you can determine what you're charging your clients, or
Yeah.
is there kind of a, hey, 1 to 5 people it's this, 5 to 10 it's this?
No,
Like,
it
that's
doesn't.
on-
It's not dependent on size. It's more like experience level and where you are. I mean, EOS has
Okay.
recommendations, and they kind of give you like the layout and the 6-month launch and the yearly launch, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But it's really up to you. I mean, there's EOS implementers, all over the country that charge different things for different,
Right.
and they just have different experience levels. There's guys that are like expert EOS implementers that have been doing it. If you're expert, you're over like 500 sessions, so you've been doing it for however long, probably 7 to 10 years at that point.
Yeah. And at that point, do you try to start targeting what we would call in like the insurance industry, like whales, where you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, could I help this local roofing company
Right.
and charge them a couple $100 a session,
right.
or maybe get a yearly subscription, sure. Or I could go after the Diocese of Arlington, not go after in a bad way,
yeah.
but like they could become my client because I know that they can pay me 5x and it's the same time put in.
Yeah,
right?
it's. I mean, it's the same price whether you have. I'm working with you on a solo basis, or there's 500 people in the business. Right.
Really? Okay.
We work with the executive team of
Okay.
the company, right, and then we kind of train the executive team to kind of cascade the
Branch
rest
out,
of it
yeah.
down, right? So it's really dependent. Like that's why I love it, because I'm like I have
Yeah.
clients that are small, big, medium,
Sure.
and it's like. As long as they want to do it
Yeah.
and they're bought in on EOS, like they're great. They're great clients.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out, because I've seen your stuff on LinkedIn.
Sure.
Mostly, I think it's just been like reposted by Ben or
Okay,
someone else.
sure.
And I was like, okay, so is this small business coaching? Is this big business coaching? And some of the businesses like McCarthy Acre. I mean, this is all
Sure.
public. So
Yeah,
McCarthy Acres, I know people there.
Yeah.
Like Josh Peterson, and then
Right.
Lux Foundations. I know Cy Shopper who works there. Hamilton Lawn Care, my brother works there,
Yeah.
is dating the owner's daughter.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, there's all these people, but these are all small businesses. But then I
Right.
would see pictures of you or a bigger business. I was like, what's the span? Like,
Yeah.
this isn't small business coaching, but this isn't also like multi-million-dollar business exclusively. It seems
Yeah.
like it's both.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out, like, how do you are you pursuing these clients? Are they reaching out to you? But it seems like there's a lot of flexibility.
Sure.
And it's just like, hey, is this going to be a good fit? This is
Yeah.
the pitch. If you want to implement this, I can help you. And if not, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what it seems like. Like, really any whether you're small or big, you could implement this, and you're there to help if they want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that right?
I tell people, I mean, it's a people operating system, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, do you want your company to run well? Do you want to know what's going on? Do you want to have accountability in your business? Do you want people to like buy into your vision that you have for the company? Right.
Yeah.
So I tell people, like, I have a regenerative farm, out in Warrenton, like Whiffletree Farm. I work with them.
Yeah.
They're bought in. They love it. Right. And I've, worked with a blockchain startup that's trying to raise $100 million. So it's like,
Okay.
it just depends.
That's
right?
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people read the book Traction and like, oh, we love it. Right. And, so it's super cool. Like I have a new client, here in Front Royal area, auto care clinics, Bill
Yeah.
Long, and
Yeah.
he's like, he loves it and he's like all about it. And we're working together. So
That's really cool.
I love it because you can do it here. You can do it, a client in Denver, a client in Memphis, client I'm going down to, Florida. So there's no real, like, you can kind of go anywhere in the country and do it. I love having local clients because they're here and I feel like they're part of the community, and you're building
You're
something
consulting
good.
one day, you're buying coffee from them the next.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Or you get your car serviced or whatever, calling Alex about a basement issue. And,
Yeah.
so I think it's super cool. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I mean, you're there and you're really at the service of those folks, right? Because EOS is a thing. Like, it's, you're implementing this operating system for them. So it's not really about me. Like, obviously I bring experience and
Right.
other things and like what I've done in companies I've worked in or what I've seen, kind of generally from other companies. So it can be helpful from that standpoint. But it's there. You're just, and I tell people, I'm like, I'm never going to tell you how to run your business, right? Like I'm a coach, like I'm here to help you and facilitate and, teach you kind of the EOS principles and empower you to do better in your business and have a just a happier, place to work.
So you would consider yourself a business coach, not a business consultant?
Yeah. I mean, that's really the distinction. I mean, we're in consulting, right? In that world and whatever. But we're not coming in as like the expert on like pricing or how many employees you should have, on one team or whatever. Like, again, we can offer suggestions or experience shares or whatever. But when I'm in the session room, it's like, no, you guys, I tell my clients all the time, like, they're like, oh, well, I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm like, no. You are the AI for the company. Like, you are the knowledge base for the company. The wisdom we need is in this room. Let's bring it out. It's very like Socratic method. I'm like, put your phones down, put your laptops down. We're talking this out. We're having a conversation about this, right?
Yeah.
So,
do you feel like your experience at Christendom is helping you a lot in this role? Because I feel like I've seen a lot of guys, some of them in my class, some of them in a few classes above me, who have gotten into sales and have done really well in sales. Sure. And they were like, yeah, I'd never thought I'd be good at sales, but I realized maybe not particularly because Christendom, maybe it was just being exposed to other people if they were, in a small town or sheltered or something like that. But like being around people, having opinions like, hey, we all read the same book. I didn't like it. You liked it. Why is that? Hey, I disagree with the professor on this and it's a serious issue. So we need to figure this out. And kind of like having that like ability to defend your position, but also having the openness to hear other people's positions and maybe change your mind has assisted them a lot in being able to talk to people and like network and whatever. And I think from what I've heard, they would attribute it to the kind of liberal arts. Let's read all the good books. Sure. Let's find common ground, good philosophy. Would you say that that is the case, or would you say that more of that comes from your experience in business and your education, like your master's versus liberal arts? Like, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, 100% liberal arts, right? Like I used to, because that was one of the questions you come out of Criste, like, are we competitive with like the Ivies or these other things? And you're like, yeah, like, I joke, I went to Notre Dame, back in the fall for a business conference, and one of my really good friends was there. We went to college at the same time. I went to Christendom, he went to Notre Dame, and I used to like make fun of him all the time because you brag about Notre Dame.
Right.
Like, Notre Dame's nothing great, like
Catholic,
whatever,
but,
but then you go there and you're like, I get it. Like, beautiful campus,
totally.
Like the church is beautiful. Like there's all this stuff, like all these.
Were you there for the ethics conference?
For the Cent Ventures conference.
Oh, the Cent. Okay.
Yeah. And so but particularly when I worked on Capitol Hill, because you're in an environment with so many different people and so many, like they've all gone to like Bucknell and, all these great schools, right. That are Yale. Like famous for what they, and like, I was competitive, right? Like they were coming to me, asking me to edit things for them. Like that there was no doubt in my mind that the Christendom education I got was great. Right. And I think, and that's what I tell my daughter now, I'm like, especially with all the AI on the totally. Edge or whatever we're doing, I'm like, I feel like the education you get at a place like Christendom is the only thing that's going to matter now, right? Like if you can think and communicate, you're going to have the advantage, totally. Right? These other things of like, well, this engineering degree and this particular thing, like, yeah, that's all great, but like that's going to change. Yeah. The 4 years at your school, it's all going to shift under your feet, right? At this point, or you're going to have it in your hand. Your phone's going to be able to do all this stuff for you, right? And I'm not discounting, like there are good, obviously medical degrees and like specializations, but I think having that base and having that formation and the friendships, right, that you gain there, I think that sets you up for success in the long term, right? My business school thing, like. It was good. I loved it. My favorite class was actually run by a Dominican priest down in Memphis. Okay. And we did the case study method like they do at UVA or Harvard, right? Where you read cases and it's the Socratic method. I mean, it's what we did at Christendom, where you're actually reading something and debate it. And I'm like, what? We did this class with him because he had gone to UVA. And I was like, Father, like, why don't we do all classes like this, right? And he's like, yeah, good question. Like, because to me, that's the real value, right? You're reading things, you're gaining experiential knowledge from it. So yeah, no, for sure. Like, I mean, I just, again, I encourage people, like liberal arts is the way to go right now. Like, I think it has been, because people are like, oh, you have a history degree. What are you going to do? I'm like, I did a lot of different things.
A lot of stuff.
It really didn't matter. Right.
Do you ever wake up and have a craving for Italian food? If that's the case, you should check out Osteria Maria's here in Front Royal, Virginia. Osteria's is where authentic Italian cuisine meets heartfelt hospitality. From Neapolitan wood-fired pizzas to handcrafted pastas and curated wines, each and every dish reflects true Italian tradition. We actually had owner Chef Biagio on the podcast, episode 42. Give it a listen. Osteria Maria's, where Italy comes to the Shenandoah Valley. Come for dinner Tuesday through Saturday, 5 to 9 p.m., or visit osteriamaria510.com for reservations. And be sure to follow them on Instagram at osteria.maria. Check them out. Thanks. Yeah, it's funny. I kind of go back and forth, and I think it it probably does depend on the type of liberal education you're getting. Is this like Hillsdale Christendom, like a Newman Guide School, or is this like it's a liberal education, but it's kind of like there is no truth. It's let's read everyone, and everyone's kind of right. But I've been listening more to Mike Rowe. He's got a podcast. I forget what it's called. I think it's called The Way I Heard It. But he'll just interview kind of anyone, entrepreneurs, Hollywood stars. And he's very against college education for the most part. But he does make an exception for the liberal arts because he's like, well, the liberal arts are the only place that you actually read Aristotle, where you learn how to be in a musical. Or you could go to acting school, but why don't you get the full education? But he's like, otherwise, just go to a trade school. Why are you going to Yale for a business degree that afterwards, you're really only going because you become part of the alumni network. That's actually the only advantage.
You're buying a network, right?
And it's like, great, you went to Harvard, you went to Yale, and that looks good on a resume.
Value in that,
and there is a to a certain extent there's a value to the networks and to saying I went to Harvard, I went to Yale, but at the same time, just because you did well at Harvard, you might be a great lawyer, for sure. But it depends on what you majored in. Did you major in law, or did you major in some random degree and you went to Harvard for? Okay, that's great in that specific field. But I can't hire you to be my business partner. You don't know anything about business. You can't connect with people. And again, some of that is personality, not education. But a lot of my buddies, I feel like, that have been successful out of Christendom are just I have a good education. I have a good family. I had really good friends from school. I'm passionate about this thing, and I'm driven. And I'm going to take further classes. I'm going to get the learning doesn't stop. It's not I just graduated and we're done. And I think there's a lot of value to that. But that's cool. I think you probably get to see a really wide spectrum of people with your clients. Small business, big business. Have you followed up with the focus team? Is that still in the works?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So in April,
it's a go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
nice.
be out there with them. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. How many people is that going to be?
The executive team, I think it's 7 or 8 folks on the team. They, with missionaries and everything, I think they're around 1,500, right?
They're big.
It's a big organization.
Are they bigger than Net?
I don't know. I don't really know that much about Net.
Okay. I don't know that much either. I've Focus. I actually used to think that the Focus conference and then the Focus group was kind of the same thing, which I know there's overlap, but the conference, there's way more people because it's big speakers and a bunch of Catholics. But Net Ministries, I think, might just be, maybe they have something in America. I know they have a big group in Ireland. A couple of my friends did that. It's the same idea, right? Missionaries, you go to a crappy downtown and you host Bible studies and you try to get people back to the faith and come to the Newman Centers and all that stuff. But that would be really cool. I would be interested to see what they're what they're asking you for. How, because you're not going to say, here's how to teach theology. It's a business plan. But what are they lacking?
I think it's like everywhere else, right? You're, again, with EOS, people operating system, right? It's getting the vision, making sure everybody agrees on, again, most places have a vision, right? But it's do all 10 of us in the room agree that this is the vision for the organization? Are we all rowing in the same direction, right? So that's big thing. And then do we have accountability? Do we have alignment? Do we know who's doing what within the organization, right? And they've obviously been super successul, right? And have done really well for the last 25 years or 30 years. I think it's a credit to them. They just want to keep getting better, right? It's not oh, we have this huge lack. It's no, let's keep, sharpening our focus here. No pun intended, right?
Literally.
Really, which it is, right? And so I'm excited to be part of that and work with them. And again, EOS is a thing, right? It's not me coming in there and telling, it's this is EOS, and it works for so many different organizations. And I think, again, I think it's just sharpening up what they're already doing and really, the intentionality around it is
Sure.
super encouraging to see, right?
Yeah.
I think it would benefit, it benefits every organization that's a part of. And I work with several, Catholic institutions, some non-Catholic ones that are kind of on the nonprofit side, as well, right? As well as the business clients. And you just see the benefit. It's like people just start talking to each other. They start having like real conversations. A lot of places end up kind of like, oh, you just stay over here and let's not talk about this and whatever. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, let's open the,
That's
shine
really
the light on
interesting
that,
you mentioned
right?
that, because I think in your lecture you said like this could even work for families. And when you said that, I was like, really? I'm trying to think how this would apply, and maybe, but I think there definitely is a tendency, regardless of the family or the business. I think that everyone, unless you're just a really blunt person by nature, I think there's a very odd, I don't know if it's embarrassment or I don't know what it is, lack of prioritization, where it's like, there's a problem, I don't want to solve it, it's stressing me out, I'm going to kick it down the road.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a good thing, that's a prudent thing. You can be like, I need to think about this, pray about this.
Right.
But for a business, if you're like, I don't know how we're going to make payroll, so I guess we're going to kick it down the road. It's like, no, that's actually a problem. Like, you need to let some people go. You need to like refinance something. You need to sell a van. You need to, get a cheaper rental.
Forces you,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny. You see that at all levels where there's like, really? You couldn't just like call them and say, hey, I need to level with you. This is what's going on. There was someone in our community that had to do this, had a company, had to downsize for various reasons. And I was always sort of nervous, like, oh, I hope they're doing okay. Like, I don't really want to approach them. And I ended up talking to one of the guys who was let go. And he was like, no, it was totally fine. Like, it sucked. I had to get a new job. But like, he was really upfront. Hey, we're behind on this. We needed this. Taxes were more than I thought. The van loan, we had whatever.
Sure.
We misbid this job. So I need to cut these 3 people. We need to pay these people back. We're downsizing, and then we're going to rebuild. And I was like, oh. Yeah, it actually is that simple.
It's not rocket science.
I think it's just embarrassing. Where you're like, oh, I failed. But it's like, no, not really. Actually, failure would be letting these people work here for another month and then firing them and be angry. And it's like, if you can fire people and still be friends with them, like, that's not an easy thing to do, but like, you can do that. But I think a lot of people, I don't know what it is. Do you think it's lack of confrontation or just kind of like disillusionment? Like, no, I think we're fine. I'll just kind of hope that, I don't know what it is, but I think you see that in families and in business where there's this like, I don't want to approach the problem. And so I'm just going to ignore it and hope it goes away. And it typically doesn't. Right? Like, problem delayed.
There's this great quote from, I was listening to like a Jordan Peterson podcast or something. He just had this, and I'll probably screw it up, but he had this great quote. It was like basically like, in psychotherapy, like my whole goal is to get people to stop lying to themselves. Right. And so it's like, people do it generationally throughout families. People do it to themselves, do it to other, like just, and he's like, and this is where the Christian tradition of confession comes in, where you're like, just stop lying to yourself and just face up to what you've done, right?
Yeah.
And let's repent and repair and move on, right? And I think it's the same thing, in business, in your home, in your relationship with your spouse, your children. It's like, hey, I'm not perfect, right? I'm just another guy screwing stuff up. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to be real, right? But just having real conversations, like, my wife really taught me, because I grew up in a kind of the Irish Catholic, where it's like everything's locked down. You like don't talk about stuff, don't show weakness, don't, somebody doesn't, you get upset at somebody and you don't talk to them for 6 months, kind of thing. My wife's like, no, we're going to talk about this. I'm like, okay, it's uncomfortable. Like, I guess, I probably like heard my EOS career like from Anna, right?
She's the real consultant.
Yeah, she's the real consultant behind the scenes. But it's just like, hey, a little bit of conflict is okay. And I think that's where we all kind of like, we don't like conflict, right? We don't want to deal with stuff. But I think that's so many problems in organizations and churches, like, oh, just move him over here or do this, or like, okay, we'll just let him sit in the corner and play with the red stapler for, years or whatever. Right. It's like, you have to have a little conflict, right? You got to build that trust first and then have that it's like, it's okay. Like, I'm not going to hate you because you called me out on something. Right. And I do this with teams all the time. Like, I had one of the jokes in the EOS world is like an EOS implementer is supposed to say one thing in the session room. We do these day-long sessions with executive teams, right? You're supposed to say one thing in the session room that could potentially get you fired as an EOS implementer. Like, you're supposed to like challenge the status quo, right? And so
you're like, does this system work? I'm questioning it. Throw this book in the trash.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I had this with a team where you could just tell there was a lot of anxiety about decision making and like, oh, I have to talk to the CEO before I can do this and blah, blah, blah. And I finally just said, I was like, there are 3 owners in the business. I said, okay, well, who's the real executive team here? Like, is it you as the 3 owners, or is it this whole room? And the owner's like, no, it's everybody. And the other people are like, no, it's them, and it was good. Like the CEO was very humble. He's like, okay, I'm working on this. Like, we're trying to get past this. Right. But
Sure.
it's like, you've got to kind of call these things out sometimes
in
love and like,
totally.
real, good of the other person, but you can't just sweep stuff under the rug. There was a great, I don't know if I shared this during the talk at Artifacts, but during when Mitt Romney was running for president, and love, hate Mitt Romney, I don't know. I mean, he's a shrewd businessman. He made some good money and all that, but he had this great op-ed in the Wall Street Journal where he's like, basically in business, like I learned that you have to run toward the fire, right?
Totally.
When there's a fire in the building, like you gotta run toward it and put the thing out, right? Yeah. If you just leave it or let it smolder, he's like, it's going to destroy the whole thing, right? And I think he was talking about the deficit or something, which back then it was probably like $3 trillion. Now it's like 40 trillion. So like, what fire, right? Yeah. But I think it's the same thing, like, in your home, right? Totally. In your business, like, is there a fire? Is there something smoldering in the background that you're just kind of like, I hope it goes out. Like, I hope it goes away. Like, I don't really want to talk to my wife about that, or I don't want to tell her that this happened, or, So I think it's just something that we need to be aware of and be humble about, right?
And I don't know if you've done this on a like a family level.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just curious what you think. The same business strategies that you're implementing to businesses, or kind of consulting them on, you at least in your Artifacts talk, you're like, you could apply this to daily life. Maybe it has some changes, some modifications, but you could apply it to your daily life. I'm curious, do you think that a lot of the reasons that men like don't confide in their wives or don't tell them things maybe is kind of this like misalignment of, I'm the man, I need to bear this burden, so everything's fine, we're good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she doesn't know that the car's leaking oil, the insurance is overpaid, you like missed on your salary bonus, and it's kind of this like, I've got it covered, it's fine. Yeah, because I've definitely done this where I'm like, no, this is my financial burden, my stress. You worry about the kids. The house is generally clean. You made dinner, good. Right. Not that like you don't have ownership of that, but like this is my role.
Yeah.
Not because I don't trust you, but I do wonder how much of that is maybe this applies to business too, where hey, I'm in charge of this business. I'm taking the flack. I'm taking the stress. I'm doing whatever. Yeah. But really, it maybe would be better to be like, here's the situation. This car's broken. We're behind on rent. I'm stressed about this. This is overdue. I'm worried about the next job, or I got fired. Rather than, this is my burden, but you're not sharing. Maybe you're under the like kind of disillusionment that this is what I need to do as the man, or what I need to do as the CEO. Yeah. But actually, maybe it's selfish because you don't want to man up to the your failings, or to the company's failings, even if it's not your fault. You're in charge of it. It's your failing.
Yeah.
Do you see that a lot in business, or in like kind of personal stuff where it's like, hey, as the CEO, you should tell your employees that you're in debt. Like maybe that should be a conversation. And they probably, if they like you, they'll probably be like, okay, let's we don't need bonuses this year. Let's get above water and then make the business successful. Yeah. Like if you have good employees, they probably would do that, but maybe you're worried that they won't do that, or they'll leave, or so I'm just curious, like do you see that a lot where it's like, why aren't you talking to these people? Like, where's the just text them, call a meeting, have a cocktail hour.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from, there are a lot of, I'll start on the business side, like CEOs that just can't delegate, right? Like they're in control and like, I do everything and I'm better. And like, well, if you're in a bad financial, maybe there's somebody that's better at the books.
Maybe you should delegate.
Yeah, maybe you should delegate that, right? To Bob, who works in finance and actually can do a good job with it, and you just don't trust him, right? So I think that's a big thing, like learning how to let go, when to let go, when you can delegate, right? When these things are helpful to do that, right? I think to me, it all comes down to like communication, right? And it's like, you got to have, that conflict. You got to build trust on the team, in your family, right? With your spouse. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like I'm not some expert right on this stuff, but it's like, I know things that have worked for me is like, hey, talk to your wife about stuff, tell her what's going on. Right. Yeah. Don't overburden or what, but like, you got to share. Right. I mean, my daughter told me the other night, something happened, and like my daughter gave me this really beautiful card that just kind of like, hey, this, she's like 18 and tell me how
Nice.
great I am. Like, and I'm like tearing up a little bit. And my other daughter's like, well, she's like, my friends like have told me like they've never seen their dad cry. I'm like, just showing like that emotional, like you got to be a real person, right?
Sure.
People cry, people get happy, people are sad, people whatever, like, and just talking through it and sharing and, kind of laying down your life for the other person, but like hoping that they will do the same for you. Right.
Right.
But I see in companies like, and in families, like just lack of communication, like, oh, I'm not going to tell that person that, or I'm not going to, you got to talk about stuff. Right.
Yeah. And I think as the leader, whether it's a business or a family, I think as much as not that it's always a man, but in my mind, like at least for the leader of a family, it's a man. And then for a business, a lot of times it's men, sometimes it's women, but I think that's one of the defaults that men go to, or the flaws that they have, is we're going to push through. It's going to be fine. Yeah. Kind of like this warrior solo, like lone wolf mentality, which sometimes is the exact thing you need to get through the tough times. But I think for the most part, it's not the correct response. You'd be like, I should just talk to some people about this. I don't need to like complain about it. I don't need to ask them to fix it for me. But I owe it to them to say, this is where we're at, and this is what I'm thinking. It doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't need to be a sob story. But I do kind of wonder with, especially small businesses, if you've got one guy, he hires 3 of his best friends, they're not showing up to work on time. They're not getting as many sales. It's like, well, I can't fire them because they're family. Yeah, you can. Right. And that's tough, but you need to, but maybe that needs to be done with charity. Hey, I understand that it's hard for you to get up in the morning. I understand that your sales are low. Let's talk about the next 3 months. Here's where I want your numbers to be. If not, I can't employ you anymore because that's hurting the business. But I do want you to be here, right? Rather than a kind of ignore and then a fire goes off and then, we have to fire you.
Right? Or the business is in a terrible financial situation because of what they were doing, right? And I think, just relate it back, business to family or whatever. It's just like being that father, right? Like as a good leader, you are acting as a father as well, right? Like, are you going to let somebody not show up on time? Are you not going to have that conversation because, oh, that's awkward, he's my buddy and whatever? Like, no, like, hey, you need to come to work on time. Like, you need to be here at 9 or be here at 8 or whatever it is, right? Like, you need to be on time to client meetings. So we're showing respect to them and how we work, right? Right. So I think a lot of times, we
just kind of setting the expectations, right?
Yeah, and communicating that, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you do, we talk about this in EOS. Like one of the first things I do with teams is like, hey, you got to be a good parent, right? You got to repeat yourself often, right? You got to walk the talk, like do what you say you're going to do, and like follow through, right? Handful of rules, right? So it's the same thing. It applies family and business. Like you don't want to be this micromanager control, but like also like, hey, you need to set some expectations and be like, hey, here are the rules. Like just follow them. We're going to do them. Right. Like, but you gotta repeat. You can't just be like, I showed you how to do this. Like now, okay, you failed for 3 months and you're fired. Right. Like I got to show you how to do it until you're ready to go. And then if I see like, hey, you don't have the capacity to do it, maybe we find something else or find you another place. Right. But a lot of times I think people delegate and then wait for somebody to fail, right? They're like, oh, I knew, they just weren't as good as me. Like, I'll have to take that back, right? Rather than delegate and mentor, right? And so I think that's the big difference. You see that in family life. Like, you can't just like delegate something to your kid. Like, hey, you got to go make dinner every night. Like, see you later, right? It's like, no, like everybody joke. My oldest daughter's like an amazing cook, right? And I love to cook, and so like she's been helping me since she's like 1.5, and I got her little plastic knives on Amazon. She cuts stuff, and now she's 20. People are like, how'd you get her? I was like, well, just a lot of like delegation and like work and time,
cleaning
and
up a lot of flour,
cleaning up, right? Going slower because it was slow, slowed me down to cook, right?
Sure.
But it's like, it's beautiful now, right? Like she loves cooking. It's another passion that I share with her. Like, so it's the same thing where I think in business, we miss that mark too, where it's like, you're not taking the time. You're like, this is gonna make me go slower, but like, I need to teach this person so that I can, kind of elevate into something else, right?
Yeah.
And pass this on to someone that is maybe even better, can do it better than me, right? So
I think something that I see a lot is, particularly in men, is just kind of a lack of ambition.
Okay.
Not ambition in the bad sense of like power. I'm all about money. Yeah. Not that, but just kind of a general like. I mean, if you ask any group of women, your daughters included, would you rather go to a party with all girls or mixed company? I would assume most of the time they'd say mixed company. Why?
Sure.
Because guys are funny. Because guys like bring the party. Because not all the time, and there's a time and a place for just like a girl get together.
Yeah.
But I think most of the time they're like, no, we want to be around like guys, and not just because like we're interested in them or whatever. It's just like they're fun. And you see this with your family, I'm sure too. Like the boys are always doing stuff. They're like goofing off. They'll run into a wall. Like they're more uncultured, and it's just fun.
Sure.
But I think that you see, at least for me, I kind of see a lack of that ambition unless it's like a sales company. You just sort of see like a maybe methodical, maybe, dedicated worker.
Yeah.
But there's not really an ambition to be like, I want to own my own company. I want to buy a house. I want to like a lack of dream, maybe. Right.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, one of your sections in there. Where it's like, are you the visionary?
Right.
So you need both.
Yeah.
But I think that there's this huge lack of kind of like the visionary people. And like, I have all these things I want to do. And then if that's not met with other people being like, that would be awesome, I'd love to help you. You're like, am I just in a separate category where like, am I just wasting my time? Or is there just a lack of excitement about life in general? Yeah. And that's kind of what I've like, and you can definitely read it in a room. There's people that are excited to be alive, that have passions, that are really friendly, and you're like, I want to be around you. And there's people who are maybe get the job done, but are just like soul sucking, don't care. I'm here to get paid. Right. You don't want to be around people like that. That's a lot of negative voodoo. Like, no, thank you.
No, I get it. Yeah. Can we take a quick break?
Sure. Yeah. Anytime.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be right back. St. Jerome famously said, ignorance of Scripture is ignorance of Christ. As Catholic Christians, we need to be immersed in the inspired Word of God to encounter Jesus Christ, the incarnate Word of God. To take your Scripture study to the next level, go check out the completed Bible study courses with Dr. Nicholas Liebisch, available at scriptureandtradition.com. You can log into the massive and ever-growing audio library and stream whatever course you want, whenever you want. Every Bible study comes with detailed lesson outlines based on the most trusted and reliable Catholic commentaries and scholars available today. Dr. Liebisch has 20 years experience teaching Scripture, and not only are you going to find his approach masterfully designed and organized, but also easy to understand, humorous, insightful, and extremely helpful for your spiritual life. If you want to know Jesus better, you've got to know Scripture better. Go to scriptureandtradition.com and start listening to these Bible studies regularly. You can trust that Dr. Liebisch's courses will open your eyes to God's Word in incredible ways. Visit scriptureandtradition.com and use the promo code DVPOD for 10% off your student membership. That's DVPOD, DVPOD, for 10% off your student membership. Go check them out. Make you feel nauseous?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know what happened.
Have you tried different forms?
Yeah.
Like lighter cigar, smaller, all of it makes you feel nauseous?
Yeah.
Really?
I can usually do like a pipe. I've never been a huge smoker, right?
Okay.
Like always, like the joke was, I mean,
you were on Capitol Hill. You didn't smoke?
No, I didn't smoke. I mean, I'll like none of us really smoked growing up. Like none of my siblings, we were all playing sports and all trying to stay in best shape
eating
and whatever.
Almonds,
eating almonds, raw milk, just living on the edge, but I just never got into smoking. And like, then I got, I do cigar every once in a while, and I can do a pipe.
Okay.
But when we were at Christendom, it was like the evil sin to like, we don't want donors like seeing kids smoking in front of the buildings or whatever. And I'm like, now I go there and I'm like, I just see like 5 kids standing around like staring at their phones. I'm like, I'm going to start handing out packs of cigarettes. Yeah. Like literally, I'm just going to like go around the campus and be like, hey, you should start smoking instead of looking at your phone. It's healthier.
Totally.
I mean, it has to be, right?
I agree.
Anyway. But what were we talking about?
Yeah, I was going to talk about smoking more, actually. I just have this theory that, especially for cigars, I think cigarettes are different. Yeah. You're inhaling them, toxins, they're expensive. Yeah. But like a cigar, unless you're smoking like multiple a day and inhaling them, there's not a ton of like health problems that they've seen. Yeah. Some of it could be gum related, but like, that's sketchy at best. It's probably a lack of data. So maybe it's actually bad for you.
Just go with lack of data.
Yeah, lack of data, so it's probably fine. But I think that, especially in moderate, like I think about cigar smoking the same way I think about drinking. Yeah. If you need to do it every day. Right. And you're doing it every day. Right. That's not going to work out well for you. Yeah. But if it's something where it's like, it's celebratory, even if it's a small thing. Sure. Hey, I got a raise. Hey, you bought a house, right? Yeah. Hey, the priest's in town, we're smoking. Sure. I think that's a really good way to celebrate. But not only that, it's one of the only things other than maybe a drink, I think, that really like kind of elevates the conversation. Sure. Because you have something, at least for me, not for everyone, you have something to do. Because I get, like, even at the table here, I get fidgety.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy talking to the guests for a few hours. But you kind of get fidgety, and it's nice to have something to, like, light, to cut, to look at, to talk about. You pour another drink. It's just like, I think it adds to the conversation. Whereas if you're just sitting there kind of like twiddling your thumbs, you have a fidget spinner, like, I don't know, it's just, you kind of get bored. So I think and a pipe even more so, although I don't do it on the podcast because I need to relight it so much. But you're constantly packing it.
It's fun.
But it's fun. Yeah. What kind of pipe do you have?
I don't know.
Do you have a few different kinds or just one?
No, I had a couple. I think I had one that, some from my dad.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened to those, but then my buddy gave me one. Nice. It's like just a, like wooden bowl.
Generic.
Yeah, like it's nice, but I haven't really
I think I have one up there. One of my classmates, he was in the class above me, Peter Santorum. So his dad's Rick Santorum.
Sure.
He had a little pipe making business.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to get into pipes. So he made me a walnut pipe, and he got me a deer antler stem.
Oh, cool.
I forget what it's called, divider, but the little like ring that's between the plastic stem and the bowl. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Yeah. So I started following different pipe pages, and then I actually interviewed a guy last year, Caleb, and he owns the Catholic Pipe Company.
Okay.
And he does all these really high-end, you can get cheap stuff, just like knockoff.
Sure.
Hey, there's a divot in this, and it's $10.
Right.
But he does these so he has like a golem pipe, like a lion pipe, and he'll do like, you can do custom stuff. You can buy pipes for seminarians.
Okay.
So he's out in Nebraska, and he does a pipes full time.
Okay.
So he's actually going to sponsor, once we get the lounge upstairs open, he's going to sponsor. So anytime we get a new member, I'll be like, hey, here's a selection of pipes, and it's just yours. Yeah. You can just pick it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, he does a bunch of, like, he's kind of like the artist.
Okay.
Not just a pipe maker. He's like, he wants to pick out the wood, the design, the stem, the divider, and then also carve you a lion or, something like super unique, and he like does it all. So yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, EOS. What were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about kind of. I think we were talking about like lack of ambition, or guys. And I think, part of it I think is just it's kind of like a business too. It's like, what's your why, right? What's your vision for your life? And I think a lot of people, just haven't been given it, haven't thought about it, haven't really like. Because one simple thing when we were hiring people, in one of my previous businesses, we'd always be like, okay, why do they need to work, right? Because if you hire somebody who doesn't need to work, they're not going to show up on time. They're not going to like come when they need to. They're not going to be like worried about whatever.
Right.
Like, they have bills to pay, if they have family, if they have a necessity. It's like, so I think a lot of guys too, it's like, that often happens when you get married. You're like, okay, I do have a why. Like I got to sort my kids. I have these little, my wife, and, I got a house and all these things. Right. Yeah. So I just think there's like, just.
Do you think it needs to be more than necessity though?
Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying, like, kind of the bare necessity is like you start to get a purpose in life because you've like, you're entering into your vocation, right? And I think you need to, something you should really reflect on, right? And try and figure out, okay, what is my why? Like, why am I doing this? Like, why does it matter? Why, And I think you can go a little bit overboard, with like, oh, well, what career? What am I going to be perfect for? And all this stuff. And sometimes like you just have to do what you need to do, and you have what's in front of you, right? So I don't know. Like I think people need to reflect more on their why, and not everybody needs to be a business owner. Not everybody needs to, be, Steve Jobs and make $1 gazillion or whatever. Like it's like, why are you doing this? What matters to you? And what's going to kind of drive you? And I think some of it's like our disconnection from like reality, right? I mean, you used to like grow up and like your dad would like, he was a shoemaker, and so you made shoes, or you improved on it and you did something else, or you made leather jackets or whatever. And
right.
I think missing some of that, and I don't know. Like my dad was a mechanical engineer. I think he always, thought like a lot of us should become engineers because he loved it so much, but like it just wasn't always our thing, and he wasn't the best at communicating about what it meant or why you should do it. And I think just kind of helping your kids, helping employees, right? Discover, who they are, what they're good at, where their talents lie, and can you help invest in them, right? Can you help mentor them and make them who they're supposed to be, right?
Yeah. This is kind of a little bit of a side tangent, but related to what you're saying. How many jobs did your grandfather have?
Oh, I think he had one, right? I mean,
then your dad had
one. Yeah, well, two.
One or two.
He worked for the Navy. He was a civil servant for the Navy for like 30 years, and then worked for a private.
Okay.
Well, he worked for two different private contractors toward the end of his career. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then you've had what? 5 or 6?
Yeah, I don't know. I lost.
It's
lost
just
count.
interesting because
Yeah.
like I was thinking about this after your artifacts presentation, and I was like, yeah, like I was thinking about different people in my family and what they've done, and I'm like, if you go back now, granted, it's a bit of a different culture now,
Yeah.
and you have the internet, and
Sure.
there's different ways to. I mean, even just like I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about some streamer who just like streams his life basically 24/7,
Sure.
like.
Yeah.
He'll go into the bathroom and the camera's in the bedroom, but like the rest of his life, he's just kind of on it and just doing his thing and going to work. But like he makes his money live recording his life, and people tune into that, which is super weird to me. I would never do it or join that stream. But that was unheard of even 50 years ago. But like,
or the people that like film themselves playing video games and people watch that.
Yeah. And it's like,
I'm like,
are you that starved for community? Like, I mean, I guess it's good that you're joining some kind of community, but but yeah, I was thinking about that. I think my grandfather on both sides, I think they both had 2 jobs.
Okay.
I think one of them maybe had 1 job and then got like promoted. It was like same company your entire life. I'm sure there were opportunities. I'm sure he could have started his own business. So maybe there's lack of ambition, or maybe there's some, but like, hey, it pays the bills. We're fine. I enjoy doing this. I'm good at this. I get incremental raises, and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's like my job, or my dad has had a few different jobs, and then I've had a bunch of different jobs. Like, I mean, I'm not that old, so I haven't had like 100 jobs.
Sure.
But like, I had a lawn care business, and like, you know, I did roofing stuff, and I did sales, and you know, so it's like, okay, how come I've had 5 times the amount of jobs that my grandfather did before I'm 25? Like, that seems kind of odd. But I think we are kind of in this weird market where it's like every 2 years, it's like, oh, different job.
Yeah, I don't.
And it's kind of funny from like a business consulting perspective, where 100 years ago, you might go to a business and everyone's been there for 50 years,
right?
And now it's like new employee. Oh, that employee's gone, and like
but don't you think that was like kind of a corporate moment, right? It's like
maybe
50s to like 80s, 90s, maybe, where you just like you
go
worked
at
at Nestle and you worked at Honeywell for how like there were just these big gigantic things that were there, right? Like I think my grandfather, from California, he's my mom's dad. He worked at Southern California Edison his whole career, right? Like new company, new thing. I think he worked there from like probably the 30s until the 60s. Wow. Right. So, and then my other grandfather, my dad's like, he was like a camp chef. He worked, in a stockyard, worked in a port in Portland, Oregon, so, I mean, he had a lot of different stuff. And I think like, if you read like Little House on the Prairie, or you like see Paul, like he was just like, okay, well, I have stuff at home, and then where can I get work, and where can I hunt, and where can I, to me, it's like, it's almost like, oh, it's a little more normal, right? Like we've been kind of conditioned, like, well, you got to live in the same house, and you do the same thing, and like you never, and that's great, right? Like I think it's good to have like the stability in place,
stability and community.
Yeah. But I think it's hard, especially now in this kind of new space. Like it's, I think it's changed a little bit with like remote work, right? Like because you can kind of work from home, and you maybe you do have 7 different jobs, but it's not disruptive because the gig economy or whatever. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I do think now, as we look forward into like the AI moment, if no one unplugs it, like it's going to be a different economic landscape, right? Yeah. So
what are your thoughts on that from a business perspective? Because I've heard a couple different things. I feel like some people, it might really depend on the company. Yeah. Because if you have a company that's a bunch of programmers and they know how to do all the programs and they're super fast, and it's like, okay, you might be insanely fast. AI can do this in like 1/20th of the time you can do, and better, and tell you how you can improve it. Right. So your job is kind of done. Like maybe you can teach it, maybe you can help program it, but you don't really need to be a programmer anymore for most basic stuff. I think some advanced stuff you still need programmers. But there's other things where it's like people are worried about like AI taking over and all this stuff. And I'm like, AI can't do a podcast. Right. It can replicate my voice or your voice and make up something. But I don't know if AI, maybe it will be, could be wrong. Yeah. I don't know if AI is ever going to get to the point where it can replace like authenticity. Sure. Because it'll sort of sound the same. I mean, you type a prompt into ChatGPT, it'll type up something. Sometimes it sounds pretty professional, whatever. Sure. But like, there's still some grammatical things, and but you read it and you're like, this doesn't sound like a person would say this. Right. And I can edit this, so it's helpful. I can get a template, I can get a rough draft. But like, I don't know if they're going to replace this. Like,
Right.
is AI going to replace live music
Yeah.
or stand up or ballet? It's like, no. I think
Yeah.
there's going to be some things that now maybe it becomes more rare
Right.
because you could watch an AI video of ballet and it's amazing. But like for the people that know what ballet or opera or whatever, it's like, no, there's going to be like, it's live.
Yeah.
It's happening before us.
Yeah,
AI
yeah.
can't replace that. And so I do kind of wonder if maybe some of the AI is going to take over everything, is overhyped,
Yeah.
because I think it's going to create a lot of new jobs. I think it is going to
Yeah.
get rid of some jobs,
Sure.
but so did the internet, so did the car.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wonder if people are saying it's going to do more than it actually is, or if it's like, no, actually everyone's job could be replaced and the only thing that's going to matter is like what's physical, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I've seen some like AI stand-up, AI music, AI comedy bits, and you're like, it's actually pretty good.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and I know it's AI, and it's still
Sure.
like, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Right.
But I don't. But I do wonder. Like, I think people crave authenticity, so
Yeah.
I don't think it can really ever replace that in the
Right.
same way. Maybe
yeah.
slightly, but not in the same
Sure.
way. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, the human connection piece, I mean, that's where, like, I love what I do because I'm like, it's hard.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to replace it, right? Like,
Sure.
yeah, you could have an AI chatbot and ask questions, but it's like, it's just not the same,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I really focus on with teams. I'm like, hey, you need to really focus on the humans that are in this room right now and talking to each other and discovering, like,
Yeah.
there's good things that happen and creative things. Like, I was reading an article, a buddy of mine posted, and it's basically like, oh, AI is gonna, like, you don't have to, you can just all do deep work now, right? You don't have to
What's
do it
deep work?
just like where you're focused on one task and you're like, doing the one thing that really matters, right?
Okay.
Versus like, hey, I'm taking some notes, we had a meeting this afternoon, like kind of the
Sure.
checkout, busy work type stuff,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But this guy was just saying, like, actually our brains need that busy work, right? That's when we have those like creative you're out like shoveling snow and you're like, oh my gosh, like I had this $1 million idea, right? Or I'm like taking notes from my meeting and it's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden you're like, oh dude, like I just remember, like, this is what we can do, right? Like your
Right.
brain needs those kind of like moments of inactivity or just kind of like, simple tasks to like kind of reset or have those creative moments. And so he was just saying, like, yeah, this is, it can make us faster and we can do all these things and we can do so much more work, right? Because of it takes notes. I've seen some of it, like you're on a Zoom
Yeah.
call and
Yeah.
like it takes notes and you're like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty good.
That's
Like
great.
no one
Yeah.
had it, it's boring. I hate taking notes on Zoom calls, right? Like,
Totally.
so I get it. And there's like I think there's can be benefits, right? But I think some of it is just like people are, I don't know. Like, is it going to be the smartphone and like, social media and make us dumber, like,
Right.
right? Or will it make
Yeah.
us smarter and empower
Yeah,
us?
I also
right?
feel like it might be a generational gap, but I feel like there's some people who are like, I didn't have YouTube until I was 30.
Yeah.
But because I found YouTube when I was 30, I use it for how do I fix this washing
Yeah,
machine part?
right.
And it's all like in like free classes, free
Sure,
education,
yeah.
whatever. I don't think that's what most people are using it for.
Right.
And I wonder if AI is sort of the same where it's like if you have no skill set,
Right.
yes, it could kind of tell you the general data, the
Yeah.
general whatever.
Yeah.
But like if you actually have a skill set, you could use it, you can leverage it to make your skill set better.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can automate stuff.
Yeah.
Like, can it send automated emails? Can it send automated whatever?
Right.
And then open up your schedule and then you can do something else. Like,
Yeah.
I have a passion for XYZ. I still have my day job. I use AI to do some of it. And then I actually, like, I'm a better person because I can do these other things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it depends on your profession.
Sure.
Like a truck driver.
Yeah,
I don't think
also
AI is
think
gonna
it's
take
like,
that over,
I mean,
but-
like those things would be typically done by an assistant, right? Like
Sure.
another person that you're interacting with, that you're giving
Right.
direction to, that you're getting feedback from. Like, I think we're going to miss things, right? I think
Yeah,
we're going to
I
miss
agree.
some of those personal connections that I think really matter. And like
Yeah.
I mean, especially when I was at Charles Schwab, I mean, there were some like fantastic executive assistants that you're like, they made that person better because of who they were,
Totally.
right? They made Charles Schwab better and a better CEO because of the feedback they gave.
Right.
And like, Chuck, you can't do
Was it
that.
just
or,
an AI prompt? or
yeah, it's an
something?
AI
Yeah.
prompt, or you're just taking note. Like, you're missing, and I think people are so starved for like human connection. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there are, I think there's just things that we need to think about and be more
Yeah.
intentional about. I think internet kind of came, you're like, oh, this is fun. Like, we can search Google for like our favorite soccer team or pictures of cats or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's everything, right? And everything's connected in your house and your whatever. Same thing with smartphones. Like, oh, cool, man, you get all these
Yeah.
colors. And I remember I got my first like BlackBerry that was in color, right? Like when I worked on the Hill, we had Blackberries, and it's like that's how you communicated and you emails, right? You know, have you ever seen a BlackBerry? You know,
Oh, yeah.
BlackBerry.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole
I know what
movie
it is.
about it. It's
Yeah.
really actually really worth
Is it called BlackBerry? Or?
Yeah, it's fun. Fun to. I think it's called BlackBerry. It's fun to watch.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. They're a Canadian company, and like just
Okay.
he basically
Yeah, I think my
invented
parents both
email
had them,
over
yeah.
the air, right? Like,
Right.
He was the one that basically figured out how to do like real data packets over,
Interesting.
The waves or whatever they called it. But anyway, BlackBerry, and then I got my first color. I was like, oh, this is cool. But it was still like you had the little thing and the
Yeah, the
physical,
buttons,
whatever, and then got the iPhone, and then you're like all this stuff, and you're like, okay, but iPhones make kids dumber, and like iPhones do this, and iPhones do that, and like now I've got my iPhone in grayscale for Lent because I'm trying to like not want it makes me not want to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Like, or I have friends that are like limiting it just to text and just phone calls, right?
Sure.
So, I don't know. Like I just think,
And I think you see this reversion back
Yeah.
to like, again, this is all based on algorithms, what I'm seeing in social media, and then what my friends are saying. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a limited pool. But I think you do see this reversion of people who are like, oh, it'd be really nice to just like live in a cabin and like raise animals and not talk to anyone.
right.
Now, I don't think that's a good plan long term. You
Sure.
need friends, you
Yeah,
need
yeah, yeah.
neighbors,
Right.
community,
Yeah.
church. But the idea that people are like kind of craving this, this is an old term, so it's going to sound outdated, but I think there was this trend going around that's like called raw dogging something. So I was like,
Okay.
oh, I went on this walk and I raw dogged it, or I went on this flight and I was raw dogging
No,
it.
no idea what that means.
I didn't listen to music or watch anything. I was
Oh,
just there.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, that's what everyone did
Yeah.
up until like the 90s. Like no one had,
Yeah.
you're just on a plane. You had to, now granted, you could smoke, they had better food, they had
Right.
beer. Maybe it was a better experience in some sense.
Yeah.
But like that's what everyone did. Everyone, you were there. You talked to the person next to you, you take a nap. Like that was normal.
Yeah.
But now it's so normal to get on, you put on your headphones, you type up something, you're
Yeah.
reading an
Don't
ebook.
talk to anybody.
And
yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily bad, but it's interesting that you see the kind of the reversion of like, oh, maybe this is bad for me. Maybe I
Right.
need to like meditate or be unplugged or go for a run without my phone and not know where I am. And that was something for me when I went to the Rome semester
Yeah.
with Christendom. A bunch of my friends were like, get the data package, you can text and call. And
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't have the money.
Right.
Number two, I don't care. Like Rome is a pretty safe place. I know how to get from St. Peter's to my apartment.
Right.
I can get Wi-Fi there.
Sure.
And it was awesome. And it was so cool. And I wasn't even like on social media that much anyway.
Yeah.
But just to go and be like, I actually have no idea where I'm going.
Yeah.
But I think it's this way.
Sure.
And going
Yep.
and you meet people and you've got some money in your pocket and you catch a bus and I was like, this is actually really refreshing.
Yeah.
And it was, you had a lot of time to think
Yeah.
and talk to people and you'd just be on walks and no one's checking their phone and
Yeah.
it was really nice. And I think then coming back to the States and being on campus and people are on their phones and I was like, I actually really hate this.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah,
terrible. Like I
right.
don't like being in a room and half the people are on their phones all the time.
Right.
But again, how do you can't enforce that. That's just
Yeah.
the culture.
Right.
But I think that's kind of the beauty of being able to sit down with people and talk is it's like, I'm not checking my phone.
Right.
Hopefully nothing's burning down, but
Yeah.
like I don't need it. It's
Yeah.
fine. I can put it down.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to not have to think about that. And I think it's just like a mind cleanser. You
Right.
know, it's like morning meditation, holy hour,
Sure.
mass, whatever it is. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't need my phone. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Right. You'll survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Right. I know. Right.
And if your house is burning down, then
Yeah. No, I told my daughter, shortly after I graduated in like 2000, went to Rome, went on like a European, like got the Eurail pass. It was
Oh,
before
nice.
cell phones. No, we did,
Okay.
nothing. Right. But it was like set up a little bit. I mean, you had payphones and like you had internet cafes and
Sure.
like the stuff you'd see on like Born Identity. You're in there like
Yeah,
typing
yeah.
out on this thing, and like we survived. And like she's like, "How did you know when the trains came?" Or "How'd you know they blah blah blah?" And you're like, "You just figured it out." Like it was. I mean, it's almost kind of the same, right? Like,
Yeah.
but you just have it like all. Each person has their own individual like train map and schedule and all these things, right? So it's a different thing. But I just think with the AI stuff, like we just have to be really like intentional.
Sure.
careful. I think education's like a big spot. It's
Totally.
like, hey, we're probably gonna get to the point where everybody has to write things just in the classroom
Yeah.
and see, like, maybe we should go back to handwriting and cursive and like
Mm-hmm.
like one of my clients the other day was like, yeah, he's like, I have perfect Palmer method handwriting, and I was like, what's Palmer method? He's like, oh, I was like, did you learn? Is that Catholic school? You know? And he's like, oh yeah. It's like,
I don't know what that is.
it's like a style like they used to teach kids in school. Like,
Is it
Palmer
cursive?
method? Yeah, it's
Or-
cursive. And
Is
so
it a specific type of cursive?
it's a specific like method, I think, to get you to write in cursive, get kids to
okay.
write in cursive, which I'm like, I want to look it up and like I'm gonna start like doing
Sure.
it, right? Like, I think all these things train your brain. Like we tell people in like EOS sessions, like we give people like write this stuff down, right? Like we give them, like when we start, we have a binder and it has all these like workbook kind of things, and people are like, oh, do you have this like electronically? I'm like, no. Like the whole point is like write this down, it imprints in your brain, like you're gonna remember this stuff, right? So I just think we just have to be really mindful about the stuff that's coming, the things that they're offering us. That whole idea of like, if an app's free, like you're the product, right? Like they're not doing that. They're not building trillions of dollars worth of data centers for fun, right? They're trying to like get something out of you, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's almost like, yeah, you're the product or the subject of whatever experiment they're running or whatever, new technique is out there, right?
Do you find that there's a like good success with physically writing something down versus like a text message or a Google Docs or something?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, I think there's been studies, right? It's just like the brain, you writing something physically down and prints in your brain. I mean, they used to tell us in college, like you're like, hey, take notes, like don't type on a computer if you can, because, and that was before like a lot of people had laptops either, right? Like you're just taking notes, and this is a thing, like it just somehow makes a better connection in your brain, right? Like physically writing.
I mean, it
something
makes
down.
sense. Like if you got a letter from someone and it's typed, you're kind of like, okay, is this personal to me? Is this nowadays is this AI? But if you get a handwritten letter from someone, you're like, wow, they took the time to do this. So the same should be true for yourself, right? Like I wrote these steps that I'm going to take, I wrote this diary.
I mean, I
entry
literally
or something,
think it's like it imprints on your brain better, right? Because you've listened to something, you've physically written it down, and it's like and it's imprinting there, right? And so I think a lot of that's important, like physical world, like being present, being in front of people. I try and always do sessions in person if we can, right? Because there's just sometimes you have to do it just because of logistics or whatever, but you just body language, like vibe from people, like you're like you were saying earlier, like you walk into a room, like somebody's in a bad mood, like you feel it, right? Same thing, you're in a session looking across from somebody and like it's hard to,
and you can tell when someone's interested or not.
Right.
Like when they want to go and they're like,
well, and there's
this
like
guy's
there's
full of himself.
Levels
whatever.
of like we used to say this when I was in that customer like security business, a lot of customer service dealing, 5,000 clients, like, and you like people would like email you something, they'd be like, well, I hate you, and I hate all your children, right? And then you like call them on the phone, they're like, well, I only hate you, right? And then you get them in person, like, hey, do you want some coffee and donuts? Like, you're my favorite person. It's like, people like have comfort level between electronic. It kind of get, you see it on social media, like they'll say these nasty things, but you're like, would you say that to somebody's face?
No.
Like, no, you wouldn't, right? So I think that goes back to the communication, the conflict thing. Look in somebody's eyes, look at them as a human being. Can you say that to them? And can you say it kindly? Can you challenge them, but like, say it in a real way, right? That respects their humanity.
Yeah. I mean, most people, I don't think would say, oh, I read this Facebook comment or this YouTube comment. It's like, they wouldn't say that to you in person.
No.
And if they would, they're probably crazy.
Yeah.
Because most people are like, hey, I just want to bring this up.
Yeah.
You had a podcast. You said that women did this, and I disagree with that.
Right.
Most people would be pretty charitable about it. Even if they disagree with you, would be charitable. But on Facebook, you could just be like, screw this. This person's from the devil.
Right.
Because especially if you have like a username that's like numbers, no one's going to track it to you. Who cares? So you just get to type into the void, right? You just add to the fire.
Well, and it's like that whole, like, never send an email mad, right? Never send a text message mad. Like that was like the old, like, don't ever write something you don't want on the front page of the Washington Post, right? That was our, like, in DC, like, when I worked there, especially when I was working, on the Hill, it's like, they catalog all that stuff, right? That all goes into like the permanent record of this, whoever you work for. Somebody can pull that out, right? Be careful what you write, right? So I think that's just a thing, just be kind as you can and try and talk to people. And, most of the time it works out.
Yeah.
So
we have a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
In the remaining time, what I guess, yeah. What are some of your passions? I know you enjoy
Sure.
talking to people, networking, EOS, all that.
Yeah.
In addition to that, like, what are some things you're interested in? You want to get into
Yeah.
some goals?
Sure.
Yeah, just
Yeah. I mean, I think, growing up, like one of my, main passions was playing soccer. Like it was like, I just want to be a World Cup soccer player,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I love the World Cup. I'm looking forward to the summer, right? That's kind of the one time.
where is it this year?
It's US, Mexico, and Canada, right?
Okay.
So it's the one time I actually like follow a sports thing. I mean, beyond the Olympics or Super Bowl, but I'm like, I just don't spend a lot of time, on sports stuff. But like every 4 years, it's like I watch as much World Cup as I can because I just love it.
Have you ever gone?
I have. In 90, it was 94.
Okay.
I went to the Rose Bowl and saw US play Romania.
Oh,
and we
sweet.
were literally like in the last seats in the row. Like I could look over the side and like look down at the parking lot.
Yeah.
Like, so it was super cool. Like, I looked at going this year, but like the tickets are like outrageous.
Something
right?
stupid.
Yeah.
Where is it hosted this year?
It's like, I mean, in the US, it's like, I think Miami,
Okay.
maybe Kansas City, LA, Seattle. I don't know. It's not, DC's not one. I think Philly is, maybe New York. And then in Mexico, I'm not sure I'm sure Mexico City and a couple other places. And then Canada, probably, Montreal or Toronto or something. But anyway, so that I love soccer. I love watching soccer. Love playing soccer. Until my knees, like I injured both my knees playing at Christendom, and then I kind of got repaired and played some indoor. But the last time I tried to play indoor was with a bunch of friends in Denver, and it just was
Got
not
destroyed.
Yeah, it just like I would play goalie because I'm like I can't run as much, but then like I got broken ribs and then I got kicked in the face, and you're just like. You're getting up there. You got to show up for work on Monday. Like it's just not.
Yeah.
And usually those games, if you've done any like men's league game, it's usually they're like at 11:30 at night, right? On a Tuesday, and you're like, I have to like be at work, at 6.
My brother's in a hockey league in Haymarket, and
I've heard about this.
They have like 12:30 games.
Yeah,
and you're like,
right?
12 p.m.
on Wednesday night, a.m.
You realize I need to get up at,
So that's one. I mean, I love cooking. Like I love to cook.
Okay.
Any kind of food, just I love
What's
food.
do you have like a specialty dish?
Not really. I do a lot of Italian. Like we'll make pasta.
Nice.
I have a nephew that we will like make pasta together and do that.
Okay.
That's a lot of fun. I love Mexican food. Just growing up in California and just any really good Mexican food.
Yeah.
I had for a while. I had like the pit boss or like the pellet grill thing. So I was like
Sure.
making cookies on that and
Nice.
anything I could, right? And smoked meat and the Memphis vibe, right? Like you're figuring out how to do that. Yeah, so that and just family and just I don't know, friends. Like my wife and I love having people over, love hosting, love hospitality. I'm more like a beer guy than like a hard liquor guy. Like I'll enjoy
like IPA, lager.
IPA is evil. Like I don't like IPAs.
I agree.
Yeah, it tastes like soap, right? And
I
then
agree.
like for a while,
Or like
every
old
beer,
fruit.
every beer was IPA, and I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like there's some like pale ale that are like on the
Sure.
edge, like a good English pale ale. I like dark beers. I like German beers. My favorite beer is Boddington's, which is like a nitro like lager from
Boddington with
Boddington's.
a D.
Yeah, you
Boddington,
see it. It looks like a Guinness can, but it's like yellow and black.
Okay.
It's really good, but it's like a light, like it's the same texture as a Guinness, but it's lighter. So I love that. I love the other, kind of I love history, right? I'll read, anything, historical, and that's one of the reasons I went to Christendom. After reading all the Dr. Carroll books or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, those are kind of I don't know. Those are the big things, right? I mean,
yeah.
Family, food, fun.
Family, food, and fun.
Yeah. What else? What else is there?
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
All right. I know you have to run, so I want to let you go. But thanks for coming on.
Sure.
Good to talk to you. And this episode will be out probably tomorrow, and we'll post it. No, I won't either. I've never listened to an episode, so yeah. A couple times people have texted me like, "Hey, the audio sounds kind of weird." I'm like, I have no idea. I never listened to it.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Right.
Yeah. So
cool.
Anyway,
Thanks for having me
coming on.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Cheers.
Yep.